Lilia crossed her arms and stared down at Yuuto lying battered on the ground, declaring flatly that she had absolutely no use for someone like him anymore. 30 minutes earlier, Yuuto and Hijiri woke inside a grand unfamiliar hall, confused and disoriented after finding themselves transported into a glowing summoning circle. Lilia introduced herself as the second princess of the Elnia kingdom, explaining that she had summoned a hero from another world, though two boys had appeared instead. She proclaimed the ancient legend true, insisting the world faced darkness from a revived demon king, and that a savior had finally arrived to save everyone. Yuuto tried introducing himself, but Hijiri stepped forward first, and Lilia grew instantly captivated by his name, gushing over how wonderful it sounded to her. Lilia's warm expression vanished the moment she realized Yuuto held less magic power, her attitude shifting coldly as she questioned what should happen to him now. Lilia announced that only Hijiri, the true hero, would embark on the coming perilous journey, promising him the finest escorts money and status could provide. She assured Hijiri that his friend would remain unbothered, promising to arrange a private mansion in town along with servants to handle Yuuto's daily needs. Hijiri worried aloud that the coming journey sounded dangerous, but reassured himself that facing hardship was worth it if it meant protecting his friend Yuuto. Hijiri departed cheerfully with Lilia, waving back and promising to visit once Yuuto settled into his new home within the unfamiliar castle town. Left alone, Yuuto wandered the busy streets, completely unsure what to do next, while nervous whispers and stares followed him from the surrounding townspeople. Lilia coldly ordered her guards to remove the midget the instant Hijiri left the room, revealing her true feelings toward the boy she deemed worthless. Soldiers dragged Yuuto out and abandoned him outside the palace, echoing Lilia's earlier words as he stood stunned, wondering what he should do from here. Starving and desperate, Yuuto wandered the marketplace searching for work, muttering that at least out here he wouldn't be forced to eat grass. A mysterious keyhole-shaped voice suddenly spoke to him, startling Yuuto so badly that he shouted for it to shut up in front of confused strangers. The voice explained that only certain people could perceive it, admitting it grew worried after Yuuto seemingly ignored its attempts to communicate earlier. An elderly stranger checked if Yuuto was okay after his outburst, prompting him to awkwardly insist that everything was fine before hurrying away. Embarrassed, Yuuto fled straight out of town into the forest, while the strange voice teased him for running away with surprising speed. The voice announced itself as God, and after Yuuto's furious hunger-fueled outburst, it finally agreed to explain what exactly was going on. God admitted the summoning should have brought only one person, apologizing for the mistake, while guiding starving Yuuto toward edible fruits scattered through the forest. God admitted helping Hijiri properly seemed difficult right now, so Yuuto declared he simply wanted to go home instead of following him. God asked why Yuuto assumed only Hijiri deserved help, revealing something startling that left Yuuto frozen with disbelief as he stood clutching his food. God explained the summoning gate had closed but would reopen once the hero completed his duties, then casually mentioned danger lurking directly behind Yuuto. A wild boar suddenly charged from the trees, sending Yuuto scrambling backward in complete panic while screaming at the top of his lungs. Realizing he had wandered into the boar's territory, Yuuto chose to run rather than fight, demanding God do something since a hero should have power. God reminded him that no spells could be cast yet since Yuuto remained stuck at level 1, crushing his hope for some dramatic rescuing beam. Cornered by the beast's snapping jaws, Yuuto wondered in terror whether dying here might actually be his only way back to his old world. Just before the boar could finish him, a sudden burst of light exploded across the clearing, leaving the creature collapsed and completely defeated. God appeared exhausted from using so much power, joking weakly about reaching a limit before saying goodbye, which sent Yuuto into a genuine panic. Yuuto begged desperately for continued support, terrified of losing his only companion in this unfamiliar world. After barely surviving his first encounter, God reassured him that this form wasn't its true one, then casually suggested selling the defeated boar instead of dwelling on the scare. When asked about ending the boar's life for money, Yuuto hesitated nervously, though God pointed out corpses couldn't be tracked or carried into town alive. Yuuto forced himself through the grim task while apologizing under his breath, admitting quietly that all he truly wanted was to return home back at the castle. Lilia's maid mentioned the other boy summoned alongside Hijiri, noting he seemed to be hiding somewhere within the nearby forest. Lilia dismissed the news with indifference, remarking coldly that it would have been better if some demon had killed him out there instead. Summoning burst through the door asking urgently whether Lilia was present, startling her as she sat quietly drinking tea inside the room. First, Princess Eleanor arrived, questioning what exactly had happened to Hiro-sama, while Lilia's maid noted his measurements were currently being taken for new armor. Eleanor pressed further, stating she already knew Hiro-sama had left the castle almost immediately after being summoned into this unfamiliar kingdom. Lilia mocked her sister's concern, suggesting Eleanor only wanted attention for herself, despite being praised as the kingdom's supposedly powerless, ordinary saint. Eleanor offered tea while insisting she would introduce Hiro-sama shortly, though her thoughts lingered anxiously on wondering exactly where he had disappeared to. God questioned how much money the sold meat brought, though Yuto barely understood the coins, still grateful they covered 3 fried pupil despite tasting like cheap trash. Yuto realized surviving required steady income for food, weapons, armor, and medicine, so he asked whether this unfamiliar world even offered part-time work for someone like him. Determined, Yuto decided finding a job and saving money came first, ignoring God's disgusted commentary while gripping his makeshift weapon with quiet resolve under the trees. Staring toward the distant castle, Yuto swore he would definitely find a way back home, picturing Lilia's face while tightening his grip around the weapon. Under a vast starlit sky, Yuto suddenly screamed, craving McDonald's Coke and convenience store bentos, leaving God utterly puzzled by his sudden, desperate outburst. A letter addressed to Ogata Yuto arrives while Lilia rests her head against something soft, her thoughts drifting toward the boy she once discarded without warning. Yuichi trains hard in swordsmanship, admitting that being a hero grants him no automatic strength, while Lilia mentions visiting him daily along with her mysterious older sister. Yuichi wonders what Ogata is doing at that moment, then promises in his letter to visit once things settle down and asks Ogata to show him the town. Meanwhile, Ogata devours fresh bread with pure delight, praising the taste loudly while his new employer watches him enjoy the leftovers meant for lunch. The bakery owner, a tough man skilled at odd repair jobs, jokes that constant praise makes him want to be more generous with the food. Ogata reflects on lessons learned since being thrown away like garbage, finally grateful for landing a part-time job at Croissant Bakery in town, worried about Yuichi's safety near the palace. Ogata admits he was nearly killed there and decides earning money for himself comes first. Strangely, Ogata finds he can read unfamiliar letters on job advertisement papers, wondering if this strange ability comes from being labeled the true hero. Despite that convenient skill, finding actual work proves far harder than expected, forcing him to keep searching through unfamiliar streets alone. Shopkeepers reject him outright, citing his foreign appearance and unfamiliar accent, one even questioning bluntly which country a boy like him came from. Every meal outside the bakery tastes terrible to him, though he notices the currency system called Saigen works similarly to money back on Earth. Spotting a help-wanted poster outside a shop, Ogata catches the smell of freshly baked bread and realizes it might finally be edible. He begs the owner for a chance to work there, and the man immediately agrees, laughing and telling him to start the very next day. Ogata quickly settles into the bakery routine, calling out that the noon batch is nearly sold and grateful he found such a decent workplace. Still, thoughts of his mother and school back home weigh on him, even as he admits nowhere else offers food this bearable. A beautiful woman named Crowd appears, asking for the manager, leaving Ogata dazzled, while others quietly speculate about her true relationship to the uncle. The uncle mentions Ogata still lacks proper identification, suggesting the Adventurers Guild as the easiest place to register. For one, Ogata hesitates, saying he hasn't finished displaying the evening bread batch, but the uncle insists having an ID matters more here. The uncle clearly wants privacy with his guest, prompting Ogata to smirk and step outside, letting the two have some alone time together. What began as a simple errand for an identification document suddenly feels far more exciting once the Adventurers Guild comes into view. The receptionist explains that Ogata must complete a quest before his guild card gets registered, requiring him to gather items and return by evening. The paper instructs him to travel to a designated area and collect shining goke mushrooms, testing whether he can read maps and follow instructions. Ogata enters a dark cave he once stumbled upon while searching for fruit, teasing his companion god for forgetting to bring a light source. The god complains about wrinkles and demon insults while Ogata tells him to quiet down. Noting their destination sits deeper inside the cave, Ogata insists this cave stays close to town, so no dangerous monsters should appear, immediately regretting the careless words as he speaks them. Wild bats swarm around them without warning, and Ogata begs the god for quick help only to receive divine punishment for his earlier complaints. Trapped and struggling against the chaos, Ogata screams at the demon god for cruelty, though the god insists this counts as fair punishment. Back at Croa Bakery, Adele the journalist questions her uncle about rumors surrounding a hero who supposedly disappeared right after being summoned. Her uncle dismisses the connection between Ogata and the missing hero, arguing nobody gains anything by hiding inside an ordinary bakery. Adele theorizes the hero escaped intentionally during peaceful times, since monsters no longer pose serious threats after the demon lord's defeat years earlier. A blacksmith begs the uncle to forge him a sword again, offering bread as payment, but the uncle firmly refuses every single time. The blacksmith grows frustrated and offers several times the bread's value, though the uncle still refuses, prompting Adele to glare at the persistent man. The uncle suddenly scolds Ogata for nearly wasting food, revealing he appeared unexpectedly the moment their argument about swords started unfolding. Adele doubts the missing hero would waste time working simple jobs, but her uncle insists he hired Ogata purely for loving fresh bread. The uncle proudly credits Ogata for a new bread product, telling Adele that stories about delicious bakeries interest people more than heroic tales. Back inside the cave, Ogata notices sudden darkness surrounding him and calls out nervously, wondering if he fell through some hidden hole. A small black cat appears meowing softly, completely different from the terrifying creature Ogata initially imagined lurking within the shadows. Noticing a chain around its neck, Ogata gently asks whether the cat got abandoned here too, feeling an unexpected connection between them, determined to help. Ogata breaks the chain using his hidden power, freeing the cat and asking playfully if it wants him to follow. The cat leads him straight to glowing shining goke mushrooms, leaving Ogata amazed that it somehow already knew this exact location. The god scolds Yuto for vanishing without warning, but Yuto insists a mysterious hole really exists somewhere inside that small cave. Grinning wide, Yuto explains that the same cat led him safely toward the exit after he met the strange baby creature. The god warns that this creature is actually a demon beast, urging Yuto to run immediately before something terrible happens to him. Confused, Yuto asks if that means cats count as rare in this world, since the god has apparently never seen one before. At the guild counter, the receptionist confirms this truly is a shining goke mushroom and asks Yuto for his name to finish registration. She hands him a guild card enchanted with information storage magic, explaining he'll receive quest lists and daily guild reports through it. Staring at the device, Yuto realizes no matter how he looks at it, this thing functions exactly like a smartphone from his world. He searches for a call icon, wondering if he could somehow use it to reach his own house back on Earth. Panicking internally, Yuto questions how something so advanced could possibly exist within a supposedly primitive fantasy world like this one. A staff member calls him, Yuto startling him further as he realizes this technology seems completely normal to everyone else here. Walking home with the rescued cat, Yuto decides he'll report everything to Uncle later and demand answers from that troublesome god soon. Back at the bakery, Yuto proudly announces he finally received his ID, offering to help Uncle finish closing the shop for the night. Uncle mentions dinner is already cooked, though nearly every dish outside fresh bread tends to taste absolutely terrible in this strange world. Despite his doubts, Yuto reluctantly agrees to try the fish and vegetable soup, secretly bracing himself for another disappointing meal experience. Under the moonlit sky, Yuto vows to cook dinner himself next time, making Uncle laugh warmly while the rescued cat rests nearby. Later that night, Yuto browses his guild card like a smartphone, discovering news updates and weather reports built directly into the interface. He learns this convenient technology was actually introduced by another hero, meaning he isn't the only summoned hero within this region. Frustrated by vague hints without real explanations, Yuto stretches his cheeks dramatically, complaining that constant mystery keeps stressing him out. Samanon teases that Yuto's own world holds far more convenient technology than this simple device, despite his obvious excitement over it. After receiving his modest pay, Yuto begins preparing for a journey, admiring cloaks while recalling childhood memories tied to similar clothing. Lilia admires her new cloak, imagining how jealous Ogata will feel once he sees her wearing something this impressive and fitting for a hero. An elder offers proper attire fit for a hero, apologizing for delaying her departure, though Lilia insists gratitude outweighs any small inconvenience caused. Promising to visit Ogata's town tomorrow, Lilia reports back formally to her superior before heading off toward her next important duty. Meanwhile, Yuto receives a special newspaper edition. Surprised this fantasy world actually prints press coverage whenever major incidents occur among its people. Flipping through pages, Yuto discovers a genuine photograph inside the entertainment column, something he assumed only existed back in his original world. The The photograph turns out incredibly expensive, reserved mainly for promoting popular idols, confirming this strange world even has its own celebrity culture. Elsewhere, townspeople gossip about the missing hero, questioning why the supposedly secret summoning plan already leaked out among ordinary curious citizens nearby. A cold voice orders someone to dispose of him entirely, while unaware Yuto happily reads a special article featuring his own workplace bakery. Young Lilia asked Valiant Legends regretfully, pondering why holy maidens disappeared from celebrated stories. Nobles praised Valiant relationships endlessly as deserted. Lilia recognized sacred maidens received attention replacing forgotten princesses. Lilia developed unhealthy admiration toward heroes, leaving individual identity beneath obsessive dreams nearby holy maidens. Isolated Lilia furiously rejected pointless royal duties, thinking valiant companions deserved greater recognition than royalty. Hungry Yuuto enjoyed home, cooked meals gratefully alongside uncle, temporarily escaping bitter abandonment. Yuuto compared unusual foods, finding his cooking stayed edible. Although unusual blessings affecting taste perceptions, God clarified blessings resembled natural talents as uneasy Yuuto sensed alarming disturbances approaching the uncle's calm residence. The uncle protected scared Yuuto promptly, suspecting dubious visitors connected toward dangerous conflicts nearby unknown outsiders. Yuuto recognized unidentified attackers, perhaps targeted him as escaping privately alongside cautious protective uncle through windows. Masked raiders abruptly emerged within, shocking Yuuto and forcing the uncle preparing defensive moves. The uncle fallen intruders easily while shocked Yuuto recognized massive strength concealed beneath common appearances. Yuuto followed God's ridiculous advice urgently, attempting blinding strikes as Sukiyo battled masked foes fiercely. Stunned attackers enveloped scared Yuuto while the uncle shouted urgently across rowdy collapsing rooms. The uncle shielded Yuuto promptly, suffering direct cursed attacks as masked killers targeted vulnerable survivors mercilessly. Devastated Yuuto freaked out beside Stone, bound uncle while Tsukuyo clarified perilous curses still possibly stayed reversible. Furious Yuuto warned leftover killers violently while swirling darkness enveloped him. Tsukuyo transformed ferociously, preparing deadly attacks as horrified enemies labored escaping rowdy battlefield surroundings. Tsukuyo slaughtered fleeing killers as stunned Yuuto ordered absolute elimination against perilous enduring intruders. Yuuto commanded Tsukuyo confidently, showing surprising authority while resuming desperate efforts guarding stone-bound uncle. Freaked out Yuuto searched scattered medicines quickly, as God clarified common magic potions could reverse petrification effects. Freaked out, Yuuto asked expensive magic remedy while urgently searching methods curing stone-bound uncle. Yuuto cautiously applied magic remedy onto petrified surfaces, as God clarified correct treatment steps. The uncle recovered properly, promptly worrying about injured Yuuto. Although enduring perilous petrification attacks, Yuuto found Tsukuyo communicated clearly while enigmatic shadow beasts enveloped rooms observing scared survivors. God cautioned emotional Yuuto dangerously mighty powers stayed uncontrolled, potentially threatening innocent civilians during intense emotional eruptions. God clarified Tsukuyo redirected Yuuto's unsteady powers, creating deep bonds. Yuuto thanked friendly Tsukuyo uneasily while recognizing perilous attacks nearly destroyed everyone inside the packed residence. Yuuto asked captured raiders cautiously while Tsukuyo restrained enemies fiercely beside scared surviving masked attackers. Horrified killers spotted Yuuto's alarming behavior changing while God warned leftover emotional instability continued growing. Captured assailants confessed desperate orders featuring abducting store workers, showing dubious connections toward the second royal princess. Yuuto thought bitterly about scheming Lilia while learning common townsfolk still cared about outsiders kindly. He said sorry silently beside recovering uncle, recognizing perilous enemies blocked peaceful lives within nearby towns anymore. Yuuto readied forcing softly before woke uncle abruptly interrupted emotional farewells inside dim recovery rooms. The uncle agreed to Yuuto's hard choices kindly, refusing selfishly preventing resolute journeys. Recovering uncle grabbed concealed weapons confidently, deciding himself accompanying Yuuto. Although perilous conditions, the uncle revealed concealed weapon stockpile confidently, encouraging surprised Yuuto choosing useful equipment. Yuuto examined handmade weapons cautiously as the uncle clarified personal pride behind each forged masterpiece displayed. Yuuto selected unusual umbrella weapons as the uncle clarified hidden blades and practical fighting uses. The uncle praised responsible Yuuto earnestly, warning against reckless violence. Although perilous powers and concealed weapons, Yuuto said sorry deeply while grateful uncle valued shared meals, friendship, and trust growing. Yuuto thanked the uncle earnestly prior to departing softly, appreciating guidance, defense, meals, and friendship received. Yuuto planned forcing town ultimately. Although anger towards scheming Lilia still motivated unfinished private grievances, Lilia gladly insisted accompanying puzzled Yuichi, thinking heroic appearances stayed extremely crucial for royal reputation. Flustered Yuichi hesitantly agreed to luxurious ceremonial clothing while puzzled attendants readied glamorous outfits around him. Lilia excitedly announced upcoming public champion introductions, preparing official ceremonies presenting Yuichi prior to enthusiastic realm townsfolk soon. Puzzled Yuichi mastered overseas realms, recognized him as legendary champions summoned nations. Yuuto spotted celebratory parades approaching castles as furiously planning confronting scheming Princess Lilia himself. Yuuto decided privately infiltrating castles, hoping convincing trapped Ichi, leaving perilous royal pressure prior to worsening situations. God warned castle defenses tightened. Although resolute, Yuuto trusted Tsukuyo's abilities guarding sneaking missions. Tsukuyo diverted castle sentries with adorable conduct cleverly while Yuuto neared heavily guarded royal entrances unnoticed. Yuuto warned flustered guards while Tsukuyo diverted troops using friendly behavior near castle walls. Yuuto disguised himself uneasily using stolen soldier uniforms, while God ridiculed ridiculous valiant rescue motivations constantly. Sensitive Sacred Maiden abruptly sensed heroic presence, becoming uneasy within heavily guarded castle chambers promptly. Guards found intruding Yuuto while scared Sacred Maiden recognized familiar heroic energy nearby surprising infiltrators. Freaked out Yuuto observed puzzled Sacred Maiden abruptly falling toward him from towering castle structures. Yuuto witnessed the Sacred Maiden introducing herself confidently as promising devotion. The excited maiden abruptly neared stunned Yuuto energetically, celebrating their meeting. Rushing sentries unintentionally tackled Yuuto beneath the clumsy princess, forcing both painfully collapse through courtyard stones. An enigmatic system message abruptly announced the champion's adventure ended, confusing everyone nearby. Injured Yuuto. Guarding wounded Yuuto, the Sacred Maiden ordered nearby troops retreat while confirming his surprising survival promptly. The Sacred Maiden abruptly carried scared Yuuto away quickly, while nearby sentries urgently. Journeying farther from town, the bright Sacred Maiden continued carrying flustered Yuuto, sitting alongside grassy fields. The Sacred Maiden cautiously examined Yuuto's injuries as he recovered wordlessly from exhaustion. With gentle healing magic, the Sacred Maiden restored Yuuto's wounds entirely as teasing his constant uneasy reactions. Resting peacefully together, Yuuto finally asked the enigmatic Sacred Maiden while she said sorry earnestly for previous chaos. The Sacred Maiden introduced herself confidently as Eleanor, shocking Yuuto following showing her imperial royal status. Yuuto quietly asked perilous Sacred Maidens, fearing strange responsibilities abruptly nearby him. Eleanor clarified Sacred Maidens shielded heroes, while enigmatic spiritual bonds naturally linked both individuals together. Sitting through grassy fields quietly, Eleanor courteously asked for Yuuto's name as observing him. Hearing Yuuto's name flustered Eleanor, recognizing destiny oddly matched beforehand divine signs regarding heroes. Eleanor clarified another summoned pupil officially became recognized publicly, as Yuuto stayed overlooked. Correcting Yuuto, Eleanor disclosed the true hero possessed dark hair and eyes matching his appearance. Eleanor sadly admitted leaving Yuuto earlier, admitting duty failed because swirling weakness prevented proper defense. Yuuto urged Eleanor kindly, although everything, as she resolute herself helping him earnestly. Blushing uneasily, Eleanor said sorry repeatedly prior to asking for Yuuto accompany her cautiously. A unusual floating deity emerged, wobbling weakly surprising puzzled Yuuto and Eleanor. The weary deity clarified summoning familiars consumed massive energy, leaving Yuuto questioning divine beasts uneasily. Brilliant heavenly light descended abruptly close by, startling Yuuto and Eleanor as enigmatic energy erupted. Emerging from radiant light uneasily, a ridiculous plump bird familiar emerged as feathers scattered everywhere chaotically. Eleanor urged Yuuto accepting the unusual bird companion while naming the weary beast Vacatori promptly. Yuuto unintentionally formed a familiar pact, transforming Vacatori into a massive grand guardian. Crowds through busy streets erupted, celebrating aloud while witnessing the legendary beast soaring above halls, riding elegantly alongside nobles. Ichi champion waved uneasily as townsfolk praised him enthusiastically. Flustered continually, Lilia made Yuichi uneasy smiles toward cheering residents. Abruptly Vacatori circled above celebrating townsfolk confidently, astonishing Yuuto as Eleanor admired the unbelievable spectacle. Townsfolk freaked out abruptly when Vacatori descended brutally above crowded festival roads. Lilia emerged injured beneath collapsing debris, furiously questioning the perilous disturbance threatening close by civilians. Stunned entirely, Yuto recognized wounded Lilia promptly, while she stared back uneasily across ruined stone paths nearby. Enraged abruptly, Yuto struck Lilia harshly while condemning her self-centered conduct towards suffering innocent people previously abandoned. Crying painfully, Lilia received Yuto's enraged warning demanding complete separation from Hijiri prior to forcing. Yuichi abruptly recognized Yuto close by, approaching excitedly as injured Lilia laid wordlessly alongside destroyed Festival. Smiling confidently, Yuto announced his departure promptly, forcing stunned Yuichi and Lilia speechless close by, riding vacatori skyward. Yuto left quickly as Yuichi urgently called his name repeatedly below. Flying uneasily through wide skies, Yuto labored balancing himself cautiously atop the unknown enormous bird companion alone. A ridiculous mission abruptly emerged prior to Yuto, demanding rabbit flesh as Eleanor observed his dramatic complaints. Starving badly, Yuto hesitated slaying adorable rabbits while Eleanor asked about his unusual sympathy. Flustered, Yuto refused harming harmless creatures as Eleanor innocently proposed cooking techniques. Eleanor spotted Yuto oddly petting rabbits instead, as the enigmatic deity ridiculed his ridiculous softness, abruptly appearing close by. Tsukuyo the black cat startled Yuto as leaping energetically through nearby grassy pathways. Tsukuyo gladly assaulted scared Yuto playfully, scratching his clothes repeatedly as he screamed aloud. Tsukuyo hunted rabbits properly by himself, earning meat and pelts as surprising Yuto alongside Eleanor. Excited entirely, Yuto praised Tsukuyo enthusiastically as the flustered cat punished his excessive admiration. Stunned painfully, Yuto examined bloody scratches covering both hands as Tsukuyo glared confidently. The enigmatic deity ridiculed horrified Yuto jokingly, while Eleanor worried close by after hearing his scared. Deciding cautiously keeping Tsukuyo permanently, Yuto wondered thoughtfully about proper food for the unusual demon beast companion. Tsukuyo devoured vegetables and bread, as Yuto praised her strong appetite. Although divine complaints, Yuto recalled childhood pastry designs, as his uncle criticized adorable animal-shaped pastries repeatedly. Ignoring Yuto's confusion entirely, customers purchased massive amounts eagerly as his uncle continued odd demonstrations. Eleanor thoughtfully outlined heroic features cautiously while Tsukuyo listened softly beside her across calm surroundings. Abruptly excited, Eleanor claimed finding the true hero while confidently carrying puzzled Tsukuyo towards Yuto. Sharing hunted flesh gladly, Yuto planned giving portions towards his uncle. Yuto's uncle transformed rabbit flesh into bread properly, astonishing him entirely following tasting delicious results. Reading newspapers cautiously, Yuto discussed lifelike paintings curiously as the enigmatic deity avoided showing personal appearances. The disguised deity interrupted abruptly, demanding conversation as Yuto focused distractedly upon advertisement pieces. Meanwhile, Yuichi readied earnest letters apologetically, asking for Lilia deliver messages straight towards Yuto. Hours passed softly as overworked Lilia continued writing apologies alongside towering paperwork stacks. Yuto abruptly abandoned puzzled Yuichi, announcing his solo journey riding massive flying beasts side by side. Eleanor watched lovely scenery excitedly while Yuto labored. The exhausting airborne trip stunned Yuto, causing violent sickness through the massive bird's feathers during travel. Collapsing painfully alongside Eleanor, Yuto urgently begged stopping briefly as recovering from unbearable travel fatigue and nausea. Perilous bandits suddenly enveloped exhausted travelers, threatening scared merchants while demanding precious belongings abandoned promptly. Yuto abruptly assaulted aggressive bandits, shocking close-by wayfarers while defending scared companions. Eleanor hurried toward injured Yuto, recognizing violent outsiders enveloped weary wayfarers. Drawing her weapon confidently, Eleanor confronted greedy robbers straight as demanding immediate surrender. Moving swiftly through battlefield chaos, Eleanor fallen multiple attackers easily as stunned bandits collapsed painfully onto ground. Eleanor cautioned remaining criminals sternly before retreating calmly, forcing horrified bandits speechless beside puzzled Yuto. Yuto asked Eleanor's excessive mercy towards criminals as scared bandits fled hurriedly. Going back alongside collapsed travelers, Yuto found weary victims unconscious peacefully while Eleanor observed. Carrying injured survivors cautiously, Yuto and Eleanor traveled deeper through forests, searching safer short-term shelter side by side. Resting briefly alongside unknown paths, Yuto acknowledged confusion regarding surroundings as Eleanor common identical uncertainty. Flustered Yuto said sorry earnestly for previous choices, while Eleanor happily valued spending meaningful moments. Yuto carried unconscious traveler through forests as Eleanor offered assistance alongside his resolute Weary. Thick fog slowly covered nearby pathways, forcing weary wayfarers searching urgently for temporary nighttime shelter. Eleanor abruptly spotted faraway buildings ahead, promptly calling Yuto's attention toward unknown structures. Finding a church close by, Eleanor proposed resting there temporarily as weakened Yuto labored following behind. Arriving beside the silent church eventually, weary Yuto reacted deeply while Eleanor observed enigmatic surroundings. Silent halls enveloped the isolated church softly as dark clouds covered. Eleanor courteously asked for shelter, clarifying injured companions required urgent assistance inside enigmatic religious halls nearby. Opening creaking doors slowly, odd nuns emerged wordlessly, startling uneasy Yuto alongside the quiet entrance. Eleanor confidently clarified their situation cheerfully, while weary Yuto stayed dubious regarding uneasy surroundings. Welcoming wayfarers quietly, enigmatic nuns guided everyone indoors while Yuto sensed harmful motives concealing behind. Exploring unknown rooms cautiously, Yuto abruptly sensed disturbing eyes privately watching. Within quiet bedrooms, Eleanor thanked caring nuns earnestly as injured wayfarers rested peacefully. A kind nun offered dinner politely, while flustered Yuto said sorry uneasily for previous disgusting journeying sickness incidents. Speaking calmly about divine fate, enigmatic nuns guided weary guests towards guest rooms for calm nighttime. As entering unknown corridors, Yuto sensed secret watchers again, causing growing suspicion regarding unusual church. Eleanor admired cozy bedrooms cheerfully, while dubious Yuto asked nearby and Tsukuyo meowing close by. Clarifying his unusual anxiety cautiously, Yuto outlined constant surveillance as Eleanor misunderstood everything. Growing increasingly uneasy, Yuto spotted missing animals close by, prior to forcing hurriedly. Walking through dim corridors cautiously, Yuto recognized unknown shadows enveloped him wordlessly with an abandoned nighttime church. Hearing strange footsteps abruptly, scared Yuto uneasily challenged secret watchers, before enigmatic figures rushed toward him. Chasing dubious movements uneasily, Yuto rushed through narrow corridors as concealed figures fled. Reaching isolated rooms abruptly, Yuto found weaponed nuns blocking pathways as gripping perilous knives. Panicking promptly, Yuto attempted calming scared nuns peacefully as they fiercely refused permitting further movement. Horrified Yuto misunderstood ominous warnings entirely, thinking murderous nuns planned attacking him within isolated church corridors. Clarifying his suspicions cautiously, Yuto pointed toward concealed rooms while puzzled nuns asked strange accusations. Freaked out nuns assaulted Yuto, urgently demanding secrecy while unintentionally injuring him during messy misunderstandings. Beastfolk kids rushed forward protectively, swirling horrified Yuto as stopping perilous violence. Eleanor and injured wayfarers found confusion, while flustered nuns said sorry repeatedly for rash hostile behavior earlier. Introducing herself properly, Aurora clarified church duties while wayfarers revealed identities alongside rescued beastfolk kids. Finding beastfolk lacked slave marks, Yuto asked dubious circumstances while everyone discussed concealed truths. Aurora begged everyone guarding beastfolk kids, as Yuto vowed silence regarding concealed church residents. Listening cautiously beside Eleanor, Yuto understood distrust nearby outsiders since perilous discrimination warned beastfolk families. Eleanor revealed enigmatic jewelry proving demi-human origins, astonishing everyone gathered within silent church rooms. Hearing Eleanor's confession earnestly, emotional nuns agreed to her entirely as praising miraculous understanding between separate races. Aurora clarified rescued beastfolk kids previously suffered slavery, finding safety eventually within protective church groups alongside caring residents. Aurora clarified hidden supporters rescued beastfolk kids, although perilous consequences threatening everyone guarding. Endless magic mist enveloped isolated churches, preventing regular travelers finding concealed beastfolk shelters. Aurora outlined naturally formed labyrinths, as puzzled Yuto compared unknown explanations with fantasy game knowledge. Going back toward bedrooms quietly, Yuto found sleeping Eleanor, questioning unusual arrangements uneasily beside cozy beds. Resting by himself, Yuto considered Eleanor's concealed demi-human identity as worrying about perilous royal complications. Eleanor greeted weary Yuto kindly, alongside bedroom windows startling him awake. Recovering painfully within woodland shelter, Yuto labored moving comfortably as Eleanor observed his condition. Outdoors peacefully, Aurora and village residents worked side by side diligently as Eleanor observed their shared daily duties. Eleanor urged recovering Yuto kindly, although he worried continually about contributing useful work towards household needs. The beast folk child abruptly chased escaping birds, frightening Yuto as breakfast work collapsed. Yuto met uneasy beast girl Sarah while chaotic birds enveloped breakfast work, concealing shyly close by. Sarah softly offered assistance towards Yuto while observing him cautiously. Finding common rice ingredients deeply stunned Yuto completely, reminding him painfully about memories from former world. Sarah guided Yuto through kitchen goods enthusiastically as helping him prepare basic home cooked meals side by side. Using few ingredients creatively, Yuto readied uncommon risotto properly, while Sarah gladly shared snacks beside him. Yuto experimented cautiously with unknown ingredients while Sarah softly shielded their unusual cooking techniques. Eleanor praised Yuto's sweet apple sweets, surprising close-by residents tasting unknown snacks. Wanting usefulness, Eleanor volunteered helping house chores as Yuto uneasily assigned basic serving. Carrying massive cookware, Eleanor assisted supper preparations as injured. Yuto worried wordlessly about exhausting her unnecessarily. Residents enjoyed Yuto's homemade rice meals as he recalled Japanese cuisine from distant memories. Exploring abandoned church, Yuto admired vivid stained glass as following enigmatic footsteps. Aurora clarifying holy church tales confidently, while puzzled Yuto listened alongside towering stained windows. She interpreted symbolic writings deeply, while Yuto asked her unusual explanations cautiously. Yuto challenged biased beliefs thoughtfully, forcing Aurora conflicted wordlessly regarding abandoned beast children. Flustered promptly, Yuto said sorry uneasily while cheerful Aurora redirected him toward the church archive upstairs. Entering upstairs library, Yuto found countless unknown books as Aurora urged his research. Searching urgently for returning methods, Yuto studied old texts constantly before exhaustion entirely stunned him. A enigmatic black cat named Tsukuyo interrupted Yuto's reading softly as guarding unusual magical books. Several calm days passed while playful Tsukuyo continued bothering Yuto continually across quiet countryside mornings within church grounds. Mistaking loud chickens for alarm clocks, weary Yuto furiously shouted as rowdy birds invaded his bedroom. Awakening prior to sunrise, Yuto spotted odd movements outdoors while carrying sleepy birds. Hearing dubious sounds abruptly, Eleanor rushed outdoors promptly as gripping her sword cautiously. Eleanor greeted Yuto cheerfully, clarifying morning practice drills as demonstrating remarkable sword techniques gracefully. Attempting sword practice himself, weary Yuto labored lifting weighty weapons as Eleanor observed sympathetically. Irresolute improving slowly, Yuto asked for sword training seriously despite possessing almost no real combat experience. Doubting his powers greatly, Yuto wondered whether he could truly defeat perilous demons with unknown weapons. Eleanor agreed to Yuto's request, preparing wooden training swords as challenging him towards casual sparring. Confident quietly, Eleanor instructed Yuto attack as underestimating his limited swordsmanship skill during training exercises. Swinging recklessly forward, Yuto collapsed repeatedly as Eleanor corrected his stance, movements, and poor sword grip. Eleanor praised Yuto's latent talent earnestly as encouraging harder training towards greater future strength. Wary from training, Eleanor labored breathing properly as Yuto asked her surprising praise. Eleanor proposed magic technique training next while secretly outlining frightening non-fatal combat methods. Following Eleanor's instructions, Yuto unintentionally unleashed perilous flames abruptly, entirely shocking both inexperienced trainees. Flustered, Eleanor acknowledged struggling controlling magic herself as Yuto asked her rash teaching methods. Properly casting correct magic finally, Eleanor hugged puzzled Yuto gladly while celebrating her surprising achievement. Training magic carelessly, Eleanor unintentionally stunned herself entirely, while horrified villagers shouted urgently. During calm village activities, Yuto encountered Alan as panicking fearfully alongside children's. Sketching precious snakes, Alan clarified local customs as beast children discussed bath duties. Hearing baths included heated water, stunned Yuto grabbed close by beast girl excitedly while demanding directions toward bath facilities. Recalling harsh travels painfully, emotional Yuto celebrated eventually bathing properly within comforting village facilities. Preparing restful baths softly, Yuuto arranged wood tubs cautiously as unsuspecting visitors. Excited beast children rushed toward shared baths aloud, while Yuuto freaked out abruptly after noticing discarded clothes. Entering unintentionally, Yuuto stunned Eleanor and Aurora fully unclothed as they stared speechlessly. Flustered terribly, Eleanor screamed aloud as splashing water splashed everywhere through panicking bathhouse. Losing composure fully, Eleanor assaulted furiously as Aurora scattered urgently across overflowing communal bathhouse areas. Soaked entirely inside ruined bathhouse floors, Yuuto and Eleanor recovered uneasily while residents observed. Breathing heavily side by side, Yuuto and Alan shared awkward glances while remaining tension-filled nearby silence. Standing outdoors dripping uneasily, Eleanor ignored everyone entirely as Yuuto admired her appearance, horrifying close-by beast children.